Greetings, family. Happy Sunday. Today, I'm Jacqueline Crooks with JCC Ministries. Today, instead of me giving you a message, you're going to hear a testimony. I have a Facebook account and I have an Instagram account, and I've posted on there a testimony from my niece. And I felt the Holy Spirit say, I just want you to go ahead and drop that into the message today. So you guys are going to hear a testimony from my niece, Selena, about what God did with her as she sat with him. Now, it's going to be I pulled it from one of the first videos that we did. So, I hope that you guys enjoy this testimony. And just a reminder, you can find me on Instagram at JCC Ministries, or on Facebook at JCC Ministries. Anyway, no further ado, let's just go ahead and hear the testimony.
Hi family, Jacqueline Crooks here with JCC Ministries. How are y'all? So glad to see you. Happy Tuesday. Oh, sorry, happy Thursday. I have my niece Selena with me.
Hi.
And today we're going to talk about a testimony that Selena has and what God has done in her life. So I'll start it. Selena's going to jump in. Okay. So in around December, Selena was laid off. God does the reassignment thing, and she was laid off, and me and her were talking, and she was just applying for jobs, and things weren't happening, and so me and her had some chats, and I was like, so Selena, how much time are you spending with God? And she goes, I don't know. And I said, so why don't you try spending like an hour with God, and then see where he leads you. Just give him an hour out of your day, especially since, you're laid off anyway. And she's like, okay, I can do that. So Selena put a time. She would get her phone and she would put an hour timer. An hour timer, and she would sit with God. And during that time, she started to hear, God speaking to her. Things started to change. And I'm going to let her jump in and tell y'all what happened. Selena.
Yes. You're definitely right. After getting laid off, it was a hard period of time. I just kind of felt confused. I wasn't sure where exactly to go. The job I was working, I knew it was going to be temporary, but I didn't think it was going to be that temporary, so I just wasn't prepared, and I wasn't exactly sure where to go or what to do. And when I talked to my auntie about spending time with God and really, sitting down and listening, it was scary at first, or not scary, but it was kind of intimidating. It was just like, I've been in church my whole life. I've always known God. God knows me, but really having like a real deep relationship. I realized that maybe I haven't been experiencing what I thought I was having before. And so at first, spending an hour was kind of awkward for me at first. I wasn't sure what to do. I wasn't sure what that would look like. I was like, okay, I'll put an hour on. You just tell me what you want me to do. But once I realized okay, just come. Just stay an hour. Just sit. It doesn't have to look like anything in particular. It doesn't have to be something, special or particular. You don't have to do anything special. Just sit and try to just be present. If you can't hear anything, that's how I felt. I felt like I couldn't hear anything and I wasn't hearing a direction. So I've learned to just sit. Just be still. If you don't hear anything now, just be still. Just be still, be in the spirit as much as you can, and just, be patient. And once the hour was up, I was like, okay, that was my hour. I'll see you tomorrow. I guess I'll just keep going. And over time, it got easier. And I, was like, okay, God, what do you want me to do? I would start off with okay, listen, Lord, I don't really know what to do. I don't know where to move. I'm just going to give it to you. I'm just going to give it to you and let you lead me to what you want me to do. And at first, sometimes it was, reading scriptures. Some days it was painting something I do to relax. It's okay, let me paint with you. Let me, let's go on a drive. Went for an hour drive to kind of clear my head. Or it was even cleaning up. It was just things where I was starting to learn, you're incorporating. I'm learning that you're trying to help me incorporate you into my everyday life. And I'm learning to, slowly but surely, past an hour, it's just I'm realizing I'm just talking to God. I'm either, you know, applying for jobs and we're talking. I'm driving to the store and we're talking. You know, like you start to feel the relationship really build. And so one day when I was applying for jobs, I was talking, you know, I took a minute to talk to God, like, okay, listen, I've been applying to the same places. They haven't been working out. You know, I've been, you know, trying to get hooked up with resumes and with interviews, and I did some interviews. Nothing would go through. You know, people try to hook me up with jobs that just didn't happen. So I was like, listen, I don't, you know,
Like, what you
I don't know.
done?
What do you want to do? And so I had finally, I felt like I had a really strong urge to be like, reapply for school. And I took a break from school, maybe about a year off or so. And I had intentions or ideas of going back, but I just wasn't sure when. When I was going for a psychology degree. I wanted to be a therapist. I was really set on it. And then I realized while I was in school that that's not the path that I want to be on anymore. So once I lost that path, or once I lost an idea of what I wanted, I kind of slowly just started to fade off. I was like, okay, I'll come back to it when I can. And so I really felt God moved me to be like, no, reapply. It's time. Just reapply. Just do it. And I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to have time. I need to work. I need to make money. I need to, you know, do things. He's like, just reapply. So I was like, okay. I'll reapply. Went back to my college website, reapplied. It was going to take me a while. I like tried to get in contact with admissions, and they're like, oh, you need to go back and do a couple more things. I was like, I don't feel like doing this. Like, it's so long. It took like a few days for like the whole process, but I just kept hearing God be like, just reapply. Just do it. So I was like, okay, fine. I did it. I got in touch with one of my old counselors. I was a part of a scholarship program for African American students on campus. I was really involved in the program, but once COVID hit, everything kind of started to settle, and after that's around the time where I stopped going. And so I got back in contact with that counselor. I had a meeting, and she was like, okay, what are we doing? Like, you know, what are we going to do? I told her, I was like, well, I already started in psychology. I've already gone a good amount of classes done. I've got a lot of the work done. I'll just finish it just to have a degree, just to be done. And she's like, well, do you want the degree, or like, what is it? She's like, are you still interested? Do you want to do anything? I was like, well, I don't really want to do therapy anymore, and there's nothing really in psychology that's interesting me as much as I want to. There's other things that are interesting me, but I don't know. I don't want to take too much time. I just want to.
I want to be out. I don't want to have to do so much work and start all over again.
I want to get it done, get a job, just move forward. And she was like, well, do you want to do what seems like makes sense, or do you want to do what you want to do? She's like, tell me what you want, and we'll figure it out. Don't tell me what you think makes sense. Don't tell me what you think looks right. Tell me what you want. I was like, I want to study social justice. That's something that interests me. That's something that has my full heart and interest in. I want to do it, but I'm just not sure how long it's going to take me. I don't know what I need to do. She's like, okay, give it to me. You know, she started doing research. She was like, let's see where you're at. Let's compare classes to see what you want to do. And so we started making a schedule, and it turns out I wasn't very far off from getting it. She's like, okay, you're not that far off. You're 1 year. 1 year away.
Wow.
1 year away. She said, take a summer class, take a few classes in the fall semester, take a few classes in the spring, and you're done. You got it. And I was like, okay, you know, like that works. Like, let's start, you know, building. And while we were building our schedule, she was like, okay, we got some online options, and we have some in-campus options. Some of the best professors that they had for some of our classes were all on campus. And I was like, oh, well, it's not going to work. Never mind. I was like, I have to work. And she was like, well, why not? I was like, yeah, I have a job. Well, I want to still find a job. I still want to be able to work. And so I don't think it's going to work out for me anymore. Like, I'm not sure. She was like, well, is it just about a job? I was like, yeah. She was like, okay, well, my student aid is graduating this semester, and I'm looking for somebody right now. She's like, I love you. You've been a part of our program before for 2 years. You know everything. Come work for me. She's like, come work for me. Come to school full time. Come, you know, finish your degree, and we'll go from there. Wherever you want to do. If you want to work full time, if you want to, you know, start to push you into a better direction that you like or interests you, let's do it. While you're here, let me get you connected with people that, you know, for your field. I can introduce you to professors and everyone else. Like, let's do it. And I literally just sat there and was just like, I couldn't say anything for a couple minutes because I was like, God, I said, you're funny. Because I couldn't, it was overwhelming. It was like an overwhelming feeling of like, I understand.
Yes.
Like I got laid off in December. This was at the very end of March. So for almost 3 months, I like really had to sit and just be patient. I had to learn like, okay, you need to be patient. You need to really, work on your faith.
Well, I think you were also working on your relationship.
Yes.
What you didn't really know is that God was having you, he was like, okay, I got to get all the distractions out of the way so that she ain't got nothing to do. And then we can build this relationship, and then I can give you direction on where you need to go. And the direction that he had for her was what you had desire for in your heart.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. You guys. Isn't that awesome testimony, family? I love what God does, and a lot of times we think that, the thing that happened to us is the worst thing, when actually God is leading us to the best thing. It just reminds me of Joseph when he was in his robe and going to see his brothers, and then they sold him, and it looked devastating. It's like, why would my brothers sell me? But God had a plan to where he was going to take care of his family. God always has a plan, and when we're quiet and still enough to hear his voice, we can't hear him when we're doing our own thing, but when we're still enough. And Selena took the time to build that relationship with God, and saw that he wanted to be a part of her whole life, not just God out here and she over there, but he wanted to be a part of her whole life. And that's what he asked for all of us. And so we wanted to share this testimony with you, and we pray that it encourages you, and we'll see y'all in another post. You got anything else to say?
Just stay encouraged, stay in your faith, and trust and believe God has a plan for you, no matter what things look like or what seems like, or if people are moving forward or faster. Just sit, be still, and just say, okay, where do you want me to go, and just follow it. And
don't compare yourself to anybody else.
No.
That will get you distracted and off course. Don't compare yourself, because your journey is different from theirs.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us, family. God bless you. We'll see y'all in another post.